For more analysis on the situation, I'm joined now in the studio by Tony Ridley. He is the Regional Security Director for the Asia Pacific at International SOS. Thanks for joining us, Tony. Now, first of all, what do you make of the threat that was just made by the gunman?
Well, it's likely that we're going to see a continuation of threats, both in his immediate demands and as this situation continues to evolve. We may see consistent themes, but it's likely we're going to hear more demands and claims by the hostage taker.
And what's your assessment, Tony, of the approach by the authorities so far?
Well, thankfully the event's taken place in a relatively isolated location, also within close proximity to a police headquarters. So the situation's contained. They've responded very quickly and appropriately, and at this stage nobody's been harmed as a result, so it's been handled quite well.
Now, what do you make of, or rather how do you read into the gunman's choice of targeting a bus full of tourists?
Well, unfortunately, individuals or groups, whether they be criminals or terrorists, often look for a forum or an audience that's going to get the most amount of attention. And tourist accommodation, destinations and certainly transport such as buses and trains is an obvious choice for many of these, and that's partially why he's chosen this platform, to get the most amount of attention. And
do you see a continuing worrying security trend in the Philippines now?
No, this is isolated, and this is a bus. It's one area. Philippines is a big place, Manila is a big place. This is not an ongoing trend, but these types of things do happen, particularly in a country where firearms and guns are accessible. We see injuries and deaths resulting from such use of those weapons. But no, this is not an escalation or a disturbing trend.
And do you think this latest incident will impact business or even business travel to the Philippines, Tony?
I think in the short term, business travellers have regimented processes. They understand the situation, they've got chosen accommodation, their behaviour, their attitudes, everything is tailored for this type of environment. I think in the short term it's going to affect more the tourist travellers than the business travellers.
And how so will it affect the tourist travel to the Philippines?
In the short term, I think tourists are far less aware of the circumstances, and I think a number of them will defer or cancel travel, but that's simply not necessary because, as I said, the size and scale of the Philippines and Manila, this is an isolated event, it's an extraordinary event. These types of things do happen, but it's not happening every day to thousands of people.
Well, there are business happening in the Philippines, specifically Manila. How do you think this latest incident will affect business travellers?
Business travellers specifically, it's an opportunity to review, to make sure that they have adequate processes. It's possibly an opportunity to evaluate how effective they could possibly be in these circumstances. And even for those that have nothing in place, it probably asks some very cutting questions. Are they prepared, or do they understand the associated risks? And if not, how do they get themselves prepared?
All right. And lastly, Tony, what precautions do you think people should take if they do plan to travel to the Philippines?
Information is king, always. People should understand the circumstances, where they're going, what they're doing, and the likely associated risks. The reality is that travelling by bus, you've probably got a greater chance of motor vehicle accident than being hijacked. People need to understand that and be appropriately prepared.
All right. Thank you very much, Tony, for your views.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Tony Ridley from the International SOS in Singapore.